Hasta la próxima.
Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world, you are watching Now Media Television.
Welcome to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. I'm Jen Gaudet, your fearless host, entrepreneur, investor, and business strategist. I'm here because I believe that iron sharpens iron. And when we bring successful entrepreneurs here and we talk about what's working in business and maybe some of what's not, what we're able to do is elevate our game. And when we are elevating our businesses and our lives, what is the impact? Well, it impacts our businesses. Our businesses are going to improve. It impacts our teams, their families, our communities, and our world. I'm really happy to be here today with two amazing guests in studio. It is a husband-wife duo. They are entrepreneurs and investors in a multitude of industries. They have been around the block, they have faced adversity, and they've come out on the other side. Welcome to the studio, Buddy and Gina Joski.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, thanks.
So let's just dive right in. You guys are married, obviously, and you're both in business. You both have a couple of things going on in business and you're investors. How do you find time for all of the different businesses that you have and also your life and your relationship?
Well, I'll start. Time, it's not servant to anybody. And so, for us, it's really doing the things that are in front of us now. And so a lot of the times it's our family. It's always about our faith first, our family. And then we have this motto that says faith, family, finances, fitness, and fun. And so if we can keep those priorities straight, then it helps us work in those pockets of business.
Yeah, and I found for myself, I've become an expert at compartmentalizing every venture. So if I'm being a husband, like right now, that's all that I'm doing. If I'm being a dad, like that's all that I'm doing. But if I'm helping somebody lower their energy cost or work on their personal fitness, then I'm going to stop one thing and I'm going to do the other thing because I can do that with excellence. If I try to water it down and multitask, then I'm not giving people my best. So compartmentalizing is really important for me.
Absolutely. So compartmentalizing, and I'd imagine some measure of scheduling your life to make sure that, because you all are parents, you have your personal life, you have your family, your fitness, your all the things that are your priorities. So do you block schedule that? How does that work on the day to day and in the month to month to make sure that all of those priorities are actually met?
I mean, okay, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm a paper calendar girl. I'm trying to get into the technology calendar. It drives him nuts, but literally I have a paper calendar for the month, and I use a pencil and different color pens to know what we're doing at that time. So eventually we're going to get more technology savvy on that, but that's really what we do, and then that's our go-to.
Yeah, and for me, I have a specific travel schedule or calendar that drives most of what I do on a day-to-day basis. But when that turns off, I can immediately go into the office. I like to set my schedule up around my kids when they go to school, when they get out of school, because that gives me a specific amount of time that I know that I absolutely have to crush it, because I don't want to give them what's left of me.
Right.
So we get them to school, and I have a specific amount of time to just absolutely do everything I need to do. That way when I pick them up, it's 100% go time, family time. And then of course at night when there's always time, there's room in the margin. So at night when we put the kids to bed, and it gives us time to do our thing together, whether it's marital relation stuff, or if we have any extra work that needs to be completed.
Yeah, but also just to add on to that, for especially being entrepreneurs, it just never gets turned off, But for us, it's okay for our kids to see us work, and we're okay with that because they have to know that mommy and daddy don't just sit at home waiting for them to call to get picked up, right? right? So they know that there are times that we work, and so it's okay for them to see us work.
And actually, that's a really good example to be setting, because what they're seeing is they're seeing the work ethic, they're seeing what it takes, they're hopefully learning a little bit along the way as well. So I think that's really, really important that the kids are exposed to that. You know, they don't get financial literacy in school anymore.
Don't.
I know I'm not gonna assume that y'all are as old as I am, but back in the day, we had to do some measure of that, and budgeting and those kind of things, and that is no longer in most curriculums. So, you know, it's really, really fantastic that the kids are exposed to the entrepreneurial journey. And I'm sure, you know, we were talking before the show about adversity and entrepreneurship. Everybody thinks that it does this, right? You start a business and it just keeps going up, but that's not the truth. Like, the reality is as entrepreneurs, it's kind of like the stock market.
Yes.
Every day there's ups, there's downs, there's some really low downs, there's some really high highs. But how are you able to kind of mitigate the extremes so that the kids can see the variation, but they don't feel the stress of entrepreneurship? Because what I've seen in most entrepreneurs is when we're having struggles or adversity, that's stressful for us. How are you able to manage your stress and keep it in a way that you can show enough, but it doesn't transpire into your children?
Yeah. But he has a really good saying that he always uses for everything. Don't let the highs be so high, and don't let the lows be so low.
Yeah, and coming from a military background, like, being an entrepreneur compared to flying into Afghanistan, I mean, there's different levels of stress, and you just learn how to mitigate that stress and verbalize it in a proper way so that it doesn't build up and blow up, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. But you know, our kids do see us stressed. They see me stressed, but I explain to them why the stress is there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that way they don't compartmentalize or internalize it themselves and think it's because of them. It's really interesting to me because it also applies to our teams. When we run a company and we have team members or employees, if we come as the leaders stressed and we don't communicate to them, you know, what's happening, then they internalize it as well. So it's really a good life lesson to learn that compartmentalize and the communication. So what I heard was communication.
Big time, yeah. Especially for little people. You know, if we're trying to teach our kids to become entrepreneurs and to communicate, it's so important for us to be the example of how they should, you know, act and speak and all the things.
I've seen it in other organizations. Like, the biggest stressor is the lack of communication. Because people just start assuming, and that's not good.
Absolutely. And so while we're on this topic of communication, we kind of talked about how we compartmentalize and we have a schedule. I really like that you brought I keep my schedule between when the kids go to school and when they get picked up. What you've done is you've created a container that forces you to be effective and efficient. Can you maybe speak a little bit to that? Because I think we were talking about this earlier. You know, in the military or as athletes, we are grounded in discipline and work ethic and persistence and picking ourselves up when things go wrong and leaning back on and falling back on our training, like the highest level of our training. But many entrepreneurs don't have that background. So maybe for people who are listening or watching that don't have that military background to fall back on, can you give them a little bit of an idea of how they can create their own container and train themselves in that routine so that they can move forward with their business?
Yeah, well, there's so many resources out there. I read a book called I don't even remember the name of it. The guy talked about breaking up his workday into 3 6-hour segments. So, and he was running multiple businesses. I was like, man, that's huge. So, you know, when you think about sports, like a football game has time on the clock. They have to get everything that they need done by the end of that time clock to win or lose the game. Same thing in aviation. You take off, like when you get to your destination, there's only one thing left to do. That's land. You got to get everything done accordingly for safety and efficiency in a given amount of time. So if you can just be self-disciplined enough or get help with creating those disciplines, to say, I want to do this by this time, and then go back and review your performance and just get better. It takes practice. It's taken me years of practicing those things and being in an environment to where that's required of me.
Yeah, and I think also like making a list of things that you have to do the day before. I'm a list, writer all day long. For me, having small kids at the time, building a big distributorship, I had that sweet spot of 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock when my kids napped. So everything I had to do had to be within that time frame. And so you have to know what you're going to do as soon as the clock starts. So from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I knew exactly, the phone calls I needed to make and all the things. And then I would just give myself some grace. Like if I could at least get one of those things accomplished during that time frame, every day, small, consistent, things over time is what made us successful.
And I love that you said that, because that's something that we talk about a lot. We've talked about it on this show, but it's the consistency of effort, the practice, and it's the habit. It's the daily habits of success that make or break a business, right? We've all been in business. We were talking about this. We've been in multiple businesses, and we've had some that have been amazing and some decisions that maybe weren't so good or that didn't end so well. And so as we learn that consistency, that persistence, and it's the small daily micro habits, like making your list and knowing what you're going to do, prioritizing your time and putting it in a container, that really sets us up for success in business and in life, if we're going to be real. And so I think the next question I have for you guys, because this is a really tough topic for a lot of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are really excited when they launch a business. Like when you launch a business, you're jazzed about it. You've got your purpose. You're going to solve this problem. You're going to, save the world, whatever. Yeah. And then, you get into the weeds, because starting a business is a sprint, and it's a lot of work. You're always starting from scratch when you start, if you're bootstrapping, unless you're buying an existing business. But if you're bootstrapping a business, it's a lot of work right up front, and you lose sort of that passion and that excitement as you're kind of in the grind. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about when you're in the grind and feeling that adversity, and it's hard for you to get up for the game, because we all have days like that where it's hard to get up for the game. What are your habits to get up for the game? And if you can't do it on your own, what is your lifeline? Do you I want to hear a little bit of both of those, because I think that's really critical for success. Why don't we start with you, buddy?
Yeah, I would say it always starts at the end. Like you start out on a journey with the end in mind, because it's not, for me, it's not I want to do something. I have to do it. I have to do it based on the end result. So if the end goal and the ideal and whatever your vision or mission is, that's got to be strong enough to make you want to do it, and that want becomes I have to, because of the end goal. So I don't know, when I wake up in the morning, it's like, what do I want? All right, then I have to do these things, and I just make it a have to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what we do as entrepreneurs and the life that we're building, it's fun. So it doesn't become a grind. I've started a business a little over a year ago. Not one dime of revenue has been created, but I know what the end goal is. Yeah. So it gives me drive to answer the emails, answer the texts, make the phone calls, and I have to do it because I know the end goal, and it's bigger than what I could ever imagine.
What is the end goal? He does it because he knows.
More time with you.
He knows that, the truth is that I've heard before in business that it's not always going to be like this. It won't always be this way. So whether you're thriving right now or you're in the pits, right, it's not always going to be like this. Everything is in seasons. And so one of my mentors in business, she had said exactly that. And she said, just step on the gas. Whether or not you're doing awesome or whether or not you're in the pits, just step on the gas, which to me that meant do one more hard thing. Because, you pick your hard, right? It's hard to eat French fries. It's hard to be on the treadmill for an hour, right? But pick your hard. So for us in business, it was like just do one more thing to advance your goal. And so that was always helpful for me, whether or not I was on the mountaintop or I was in the valley.
Got it. And so when you're picking your hard and you just can't get that foot on the accelerator, or there's no more gas, because that happens too. What do you do in order to have that last minute energy infusion so you can do that? Do that.
Pray. A lot. So I like all these things that just keep coming to my head when you're asking these questions. So I've heard, again, in business, in mentorship, you're so good at what you do that you're no good at what you do. And man, that hit me so hard, because being a type A personality, I can just work and that's it. And so my mentor was like, you're so good that you're no good to anybody, to yourself, to your kids, to your family, to your husband, to your distributors, friends, family, all the things. And I was like, okay, so it's like, okay, now I'm just going to unplug and do none of that. That was was consuming my time. And then pray.
I'll tell you, when I run out of gas, I retreat. I'll go climb a tree and go deer hunting, or I go to the golf course. I get in a quiet spot until I feel recharged, and then I go do it again. I say laziness drives me crazy. People who are late, people who are lazy, and if I start seeing those tendencies in myself, then that's a big red flag, and I just mash on the gas. I just pull up my bootstraps and get back after it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. And we all have different ways of recharging, and so what I heard from you is you need to fill your cup so that it can overflow into others. It's something that we talk about a lot, setting the impactful boundaries and taking care of ourselves, because you're absolutely right. If we're sick, we can't show up for our business, we can't show up for our families, we can't show up for anybody. So we have to take care of ourselves first. And I want to kind of address this because a lot of times, and I work with hundreds of entrepreneurs, I coach hundreds of entrepreneurs every year. And so a lot of times what they will tell me is, I feel selfish if I take time to do something for myself because my spouse needs it, my kids need it, my business needs it, my employees, my teams, my clients, and they have all the other people and they put themselves on the extreme back burner. So did either of you or both of you experience any of those kind of mindsets, and how did you move forward through that? Because that is a very common theme in entrepreneurs.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, I struggled with that a lot because, naturally I'm a people pleaser. Like, I want to please people, and I enjoy gathering people and being around, and that gives me energy actually to be around people. So to remove myself from that, is really hard. So there's no perfection in any of that. You just have to, it's kind of trial and error, to be honest with you, figure out what makes you rest. That's the truth. And sometimes even if you're on a treadmill and you're just not thinking about anything, that could be rest for somebody, but your body's moving, but your mind isn't. So, you just got to kind of figure out what makes you stop.
Changing your physiology to change your psychology, it's research proven. It's a really good technique, actually. How about you? When you just, did you ever have those kind of thoughts or feelings?
Feeling selfish?
Yeah.
No. I'm completely opposite of her. When I'm around a lot of people, I get drained. When I'm speaking from stage, it's an exhausting thing because I'm pouring it all out, all at the same time. So I have to have that time. I already know it. I'm one of the few people that really enjoy my company, so I go be by myself, and then that just recharges me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And but I have found that there's different personality types, and it sounds like you're an introvert. You know that about yourself, and you recharge in that way. You may be able to be doing the giving and the pouring, but if you recharge when you're alone, that it's good that you know how to charge your batteries. I'm like you. I am energized by people, and sometimes what happens in entrepreneurship is you have it's the client problem, or it's the employee problem, or it's you're in the grind and there's a lot of negative around you. You sometimes have to go into a different room of people.
Yeah.
As an extrovert. And so for me, it's about who are the positive people that I can surround myself by so that I can get that uplift when I'm pouring into other people too. So I think it's a learning curve for a lot of entrepreneurs, but it's absolutely essential that we take time for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to ask you, I want to just kind of move this to the investor side because, entrepreneurs are risk takers. We are risk takers. Like, let's just be real. We don't have a W-2 to fall back on. We don't have that steady paycheck. We gotta kill what we eat and what we feed our teams. So how were you able to move from entrepreneurship, which is already a risk-taking sort of endeavor, and you're having to do a lot more than just say have a 9-to-5, if you will, and then how were you able to then also shift into investing? Talk to me a little bit about that transition, because one of the things that I find is entrepreneurs are great at making money and generating revenue, but they're not great at turning that income into wealth. Yeah. And you guys kind of have the holistic approach to this. So how did you get started in investing? What did that look like? And how were you able to divert, because a lot of times we want to just pour it right back into the business, but we have to kind of diversify and have a little nest egg for ourselves. So talk to me about how that looks for you guys.
If I can help shorten the curve for anybody, then it's definitely, surround yourself around people who know what they're talking about. Because, the truth is that we can know a lot of things, or a few things about a lot, but if you can find somebody who can guide you in those things, that would save you lots of money and lots of heartache.
And I'll say, I don't want to be the expert. Like, if I'm entertaining a construction project, I'm going to go find the best construction manager. manager. Same thing with acquisitions. If I have someone who's better at analyzing a deal, I want that person on my team. So it really is about teamwork. And when it comes to investing, like there's nothing new about investing. It's been done for thousands of years. So don't be scared. That's what I would say. Don't be scared. Just find the right people. Some of the best advice that I got about investing was from one of my mentors said, invest in people. Mm-hmm. You invest in the right people, right? And don't be cheap. Don't be chintzy with your project, but invest in people. Get the right team together, and investing won't be scary.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you know, that also brings me to one of the things that I love, and one of my mentors told me is invest in yourself, because no amount of money you spend on education, on mentorship, on anything, all of that, nobody can take that knowledge away from you. Yeah. So even if you're investing in somebody, and like whether it's a coach, a mentor, a team of experts to help you through your acquisitions, for example, you are able to learn and grow through that and learn from their wisdom. It cuts the time and cuts the mistakes, but you take that wisdom with you for everything else. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, and you are your best ROI. So I think that's really awesome that you brought that to bear. And so when you think about investing, you know, another thing that I've always been told is invest in what you know. You know, invest in what you know first, because that's the easiest risk to take, right? And then keep growing. And so I love find the people that know more than you. Surround yourself by people who've been successful in that area, and cut the learning curve. And so as you guys move in all of these different directions, I mean, you're in real estate, you're in investors, you are a pilot. Like there's so many things going on in your lives. How do you prioritize which of the business attributes? Like, are they all in the same business cycle? Do they all have different business cycles? You know, real estate, for example, is really hot in the summer, and you know, not so much, you know, come September when all the kids are in school. So do all of your business cycles line up, or do you have businesses that are complementary, so when one is really busy, the other is a little bit slow?
Definitely complementary. I mean, you definitely want different buckets for sure. As far as time, you know, it's like I said earlier, it's in the season, right? Because for real estate, especially, like this is the season. Like this is go time right now.
I can't believe you're on my show in the summer. I'm like, it is hot time right now in real estate.
It is. You're right. It is hot time. You're right. But you know, you just you cut out those pockets of time, which are so important. So yeah, for us, it's just kind of doing what's in front of us right now. And like for me, it's real estate right now. You know, for him, it's flying. People who rent jets during this time travel in the summer. So
and there are a lot of synergies with what I do. So a lot of my clients, aviation clients, they're also business owners. Mm-hmm. They're also investors. They're also looking for tax-free wealth strategies. And I know people. So I'm always like a conduit of taking in information and filtering it and deciding where it needs to go and who can best add value to that person. Mm-hmm. So it's always the value add. Doesn't matter what season it is. Yeah. If you meet someone and you genuinely want to help them advance their business, their lifestyle, just look for ways to add value. And that's what I do. I do it with excellence.
And that is how entrepreneurships succeed. Truly, I believe in that wholeheartedly. When we add value, I look at it as like I call it relational capital, right? It's kind of like when you add value to people, you put in the deposit into the bank so that when it comes time to ask for something, you've got plenty of money to withdraw from. You're not like drawing on an empty tank. So I think it's really, really awesome that you said that. And I kind of want to play a little bit more into that, because as a pilot, you chose private. You chose to do private jets and fly private jets. So was that a strategic play for you?
Yeah, and the truth is, I've been in aviation since 1995. So I've always had a joy and love for flying in the military. And then I wasn't looking to be a pilot as a career. I just loved to do it. And an opportunity came across, 5 years ago, and the guy called me and said, "Hey, you got a lot of experience around jets." And I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "You want to fly one?" Sure. So I started out doing it on the side as contract work, just because it's fun. And then a few years ago, I got a phone call and said, "Hey, do you want to drive this Learjet full time?" I'm like, "Sounds fun, sure." So that's just one of the things that I do. It provides some stability in our household income. And stability is a good thing because it allows you to leap into some other entrepreneurial avenues. So even for people just starting out as entrepreneurs, having a full-time job for stability while they're stepping their foot into entrepreneurship, that's a good thing.
It's a smart move. of.
I completely concur, and you have to have a plan. Like, what comes to me very strong from that is you have to have a plan. Mm-hmm. If you're in corporate and you're used to the W-2 paycheck, and I've seen this so many times, you want to make sure that you have like an emergency fund that you build up, because the reality is when you go into business, you don't magically have revenue on day one. It's not like you're like, oh, I'm going to file my formation paperwork and boom, I've got money. No, it doesn't work that way. If it worked like that, everybody would be an entrepreneur. But having that plan so that you are set for success and you're not stressing over money while you're trying to generate the revenue in your business is really key. Because if you're thinking from I just need to put food on my table, then you're coming from a place of desperation, and that doesn't work. Everybody can sense that a mile away. So I think it's really fascinating. And so then I'm going to ask the next question, because you mentioned that you're always adding value and you're flying private jets, which is entrepreneurs and investors. So how much interaction do you actually get with your clientele that you're able to kind of forge those relationships? I mean, they're stuck on a plane with you.
Well,
kind of.
I'm up in the front, they're in the back typically. But no, you do have interaction with them. I just texted on the way here one of my clients for tomorrow, asking if there's anything special that they need for their trip tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And so that's interaction. But then a lot of my clients are also my friends, and we do work outside of aviation already. So there's a lot of interaction, whether it's on the golf course, at church, in our community.
Synergy is key.
Lots of synergy.
We do have to break for a brief commercial. We will be back after these short messages.
Hey, Lily says AT&T is giving everyone their best deals.
Minus the air quotes.
Best deals.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Told you, the best deals are for everyone here, with a choice of plans.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
At AT&T, we give everyone our best deals on every smartphone.
Hello, my name is Charles Sanders, and I'm a personal injury attorney with the Rose Sanders Law Firm, based in Texas and with offices in Houston, Dallas, McAllen, and El Paso. We assist individuals throughout the entire state who have suffered harm due to the negligence of another person. With my experience as an insurance adjuster, I understand and I know exactly how to counter the strategies employed by insurance companies, and I'm bringing this knowledge to you. We handle a wide variety of situations, ranging from car accidents to defamation and unsafe property conditions. We are here to provide support and legal representation at no cost to you. Call us today at 713-221-3773.
Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Gaudet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
Hey, are you a small business owner that's struggling to double or triple your revenue and profits? My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide with Teach Your Business to Fish. Our success operating system will help you double or triple your profits every 2 to 3 years while actually maintaining some semblance of a home life. call us at 713-201-5559 and we'll help you become a real success.
Welcome back to Power CEOs, the truth behind the business. If you're just tuning in, you're going to want to go to nowmedia.tv, click on Power CEOs, and catch the first segment. Why? Because I'm here in studio with Buddy and Gina Joski, and we have been talking about entrepreneurship, the challenges, how to manage our business and our life to make sure that we're meeting both priorities. We've also talked about investing and a whole host of other things. It's been pure gold. So go ahead and check out that first segment if you're just tuning in. But without further ado, I'm just going to dive right back into the conversation. Before the break, we were kind of talking about invest in what you know. We were talking about how y'all are investors. You have a couple of different industries, and you've moved with your businesses. You've moved into investing to kind of diversify, and how important it is that when we generate wealth, when we generate income, we also turn that income into wealth through investing. And you invest in what you know. You are real estate investors, and I know that you're in real estate. So talk to me a little bit about what is happening in the market, because it's crazy right now. Is this the time to get started and dip your toe in? What should we as real estate investors be thinking about as we're moving into these interesting times?
So I've always had some sort of real estate in my life. You know, my mom was a realtor, growing up, and so I've always just been in this industry. And then one of our first jobs out of college was with new home sales, and then I went on the foreclosure side. So we've just always been in real estate. We've been interested in it. You know, it's probably one of the biggest decisions most people will make in their whole life. Now, this particular industry, or this timing right now for the industry, is like nothing anybody has ever seen. So the truth is that it's actually a good time to buy, and it's a good time to sell. And so, of course, it depends on each property. So, the thing is that we just knew about investing in we knew about real estate. So investing in real estate kind of made sense to us at the time.
And so for people who are out there who maybe they haven't had exposure to the real estate industry, maybe they've been investing in the markets, or they're in other industries, and they're wanting to diversify their portfolio and consider the real estate asset class in addition to their primary home, of course. So what would you tell to those people that are interested in getting into real estate investing from a diversification standpoint?
Yeah, find somebody who knows what they're talking about, for sure, because there are ebbs and flows of this market. So personally, for us right now, it's not always the best time to invest. I personally, as an investment, don't think it is yet. But get yourself ready, because it's about to be a really good time to invest. So that's what I say about that.
Yeah, and just get smart. Do your own research. Educate yourself. There's lots of books out there and ways to gain wisdom and gain knowledge from other people's experiences. And I will say, most successful people that I meet are more than willing to share. Mm-hmm. So ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. And on a long enough timeline, it's never a bad time to get into real estate, because the world's not running. They're not making any more land, right? Not making any more places for people to dwell. And people are fluid. They're very mobile now. We're the most mobile generation in the world's history. Flying and driving and just getting wherever we want to go. So there's no limits. It's always a good time to look at diversifying your portfolio into something safe and secure like real estate.
Mm-hmm. Well, and real estate is asset backed, and I invest in properties, and I also invest in businesses, and business is always riskier unless you've got it collateralized with assets, right? And so, in my mind, real estate is one of the safer aspects just from that perspective, because you own this property, and if you're a savvy investor, you hold in the times when things are not necessarily yielding what you want to yield. You sell at the right time. But really in real estate, what I have learned, and I didn't come from real estate, so I've had to learn this through mentors and trial and error. But what I've learned is all in the buy. If you buy right, it doesn't matter. You're going to see a return. So know how to buy. Yeah. Because you really make the most money on
and what to buy. Like sometimes people get into housing, but maybe they're more commercial, or vice versa, right? So you have to know what entity you're personally interested in too. And in residential, you have the short-term leases too, and then you have long-term leases as well. So those are things that you have to evaluate for yourself to see what you want to, where you want to put your money.
Yeah, and ask your CPA, what are the tax tax implications of how and where I invest. And I will say that real estate always has the best tax incentives and advantages. So it depends on what your long-term goal is. If you're looking for quick money, maybe real estate's not your bag. But if you're looking to build true wealth that'll stand the test of time, then start looking at real estate.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you know what really comes to me very strong is we're entrepreneurs first, right? And so we're successful as investors because we're entrepreneurs first. So we're looking at it from the business side instead of the emotional side. And I think that's something that a lot of people who haven't invested outside of traditional, like using an advisor and doing the brokerage route, I think they don't really understand that real estate investing is actually a business. You have to approach it from a business standpoint and a business mindset. The numbers have to work. Oh, I want this house and it's going to make money. No, not necessarily. Just because you love it, you know. And one of the beginner mistakes that I've seen a lot of times is that they do like a single family flip and they put the interior that they want in their house.
Oh boy.
It's like way over improving the house. They don't make any money on it and they wonder why. And it's because you have to approach it from a business sense. The numbers have to make sense and it's not your baby.
Yeah, every time. And you know, honestly, sometimes that's why I like commercial a little bit more, because literally if the penny doesn't match, then it's a no-go, right? We're not trying to appease the memories that we're going to make in the backyard, you know. But let me just touch on something too that we've been teaching our daughter. So she is the oldest of the three. She's 14 years old, and you know, she's going into high school and she's learning about investing and real estate and like all these things. So we've actually been talking to her about, you know, one day if you ever decide to go to college and you're going to have roommates, to learn how to invest in a property, and then those roommates are going to go find, you know, housing of some sort somewhere. So if you owned the place, then you could be the landlord versus them go finding somebody.
House hacking. We call that house hacking these days.
Yeah. And
also told her she's going to college to marry a boy studying tax law. We could use that.
Well, I'm a big fan of paying that professional to do that for me.
Exactly.
You know, and while we're on this topic, you know, find the right professionals.
Yes.
It's not just about your attorneys and your CPAs and your tax strategists. It's also about the right mentors in your space. So talk to me a little bit, because I know you've been in real estate. Real estate's been a part of your life pretty much
all of my life
since inception, right? So how did you evolve into? Because I believe you're building a team and you're now mentoring in real estate. So talk to me a little bit about that evolution and what drove you to then become that mentor yourself. Because I think it's very important that we think about to me it's paying it forward, right? We all had mentors to get us to where we are. We had people who helped us up, and now you're giving back to your team. I know it's a business and you're building a business, but it's also giving someone else their opportunities. So talk to me about how that transpired and how that decision came to be, and what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, Buddy always, you know, well, he just said it, you know, invest in people. That's really what it comes down to. And so, you know, building an organization and just being able to share the things that I've learned over time is my heart anyways. So it's fun to be able to enlighten people. They're going to ask the questions regardless, right? So you may as well, I mean, it's not like I'm going to be like, no, I can't answer your question. I mean, could you imagine? So I'm going to share it with them anyways. And so when I got into this space of being able to, you know, help other people answer the questions that they're already answering and realizing, you know what, I could build something from this foundation, then it just made sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add on there? I know you're big on mentoring.
No, I love it, and I haven't seen anybody that does it better than this gal right here. Loving people, teaching, training, mentoring, because the more successful they are, well, then everything feeds up, and vice versa. The more successful we are and the more experiences we have, then it feeds to other people, and it just creates synergies between people that are moving in the same direction. So she's excellent at it. I love to teach and train from stage. Nuts and bolts. I'm more of a logistics guy. She's the lover, the emotional person. So we work well together in that regard. So
that's a true power team. So can we speak a little bit to that? Because a lot of times you have a partner duo and you do double work. But it sounds like you guys are divide and conquer. Like, these are my strengths, these are my strengths, let's meet in the middle. So how did you come to, okay, this is your role, this is my role, let's meet in the middle? Like, how did you discover that? Was that an evolution over time and trial by error, or was it something that you were like this at first? Like, how did that happen?
I mean, I think it just came natural. We didn't get married until I was much, much older.
Way older.
No, I was in my late 20s.
I mean, you're ancient. Come on.
But no, I think we knew our personalities, and then before we started working together, so we already knew that. We'd obviously taken some strength finders tests and personality exams, but we've always kind of known, like, this is your lane, this is your lane, but we always meet in the middle because we're moving in the same direction. We have the same goals and ideals, and it just works. So,
yeah.
So can I ask a personal question?
Of course.
Do you guys have a decision matrix when you decide to invest? Do you have to have a conversation about the new investments? Or is there is an entry point? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah.
I will say, so I'm a dreamer. Like, I see something, and I see all the potential. Mm-hmm. She helps bring me back into alignment. So, and then same thing. If I'm going into business with someone, I want them to meet her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not because she's the decision maker, but because if she doesn't like them, I'm not doing business with them.
Yeah, because you got to come home.
That's exactly right.
You have to come home to her. I don't think
I'll just be honest. I had a banker, and I said, "Hey, I love everything we've talked about. Yada yada yada. Tomorrow, my wife will come in, and she's going to meet you." And he just asked, "Oh, is she the decision maker?" And I said, "No, I could make this decision right now, and she would be okay with it. She's confident in me. But if she doesn't like you, I'm not confident in you." So
it's true.
When she walked in the next day, he was on pins and needles. He wanted her to be his BFF. Not gonna lie.
Well, I think that's really fascinating because you trust her intuition and her gut reflex. Like, my husband and I are kind of the same. He's the analytical side. He's very, very like nuts and bolts numbers. He's an engineer.
Yes.
So all of that, and I'm the intuitive, and I have a gut instinct like this. If I have a bad gut instinct, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and you have to know, you have to want to be around the people that you're working with, right? So, I mean, the truth is that it's not necessarily that harsh, but we do like to do life with people we do business with also. So, in the back of my mind, my thought is always, if we do business together, if we make multiple millions together and help other people do it too, am I going to want to go on vacation with you at the end of the day? So that's really what it comes down to. But for the two of us, the whole communication thing we were talking about at the very beginning, I mean, it's really about communication too. So it was trial and error when we first started working together. But any opportunity that we can do work, any kind of work together, is so special to us. I mean, that's why we got married, right?
Yeah, we want to spend time together.
Exactly. So, like, doing anything together is super fun. But we had to learn these things. Like, I'll just share a quick story. One of our business entities, he was on the phone call with somebody, and I was telling him in the passenger seat what to say to them. It did not go very well, of course, to say the least. And so what happened, though, is after that intense fellowship that we had on that conversation, I asked him, I said, if I want to communicate to you something that I need you to say, then how do you want me to communicate that to you? And so he just said, write it on a piece of paper, and when I can get to it, I can read it while I'm on the phone. And that was leaps and bounds in our communication with working together.
And this is really funny, and this is completely off topic of business, but maybe not, because relationships are like this. When we work with our spouse or we're entrepreneurs and we're moving and sometimes we're two ships passing in the night. I know, because my husband and I both travel extensively for our businesses and what we're doing, and so it's so critically important that we always come back to, how can I love you better? How can I communicate with you better?
Yeah.
Right? And so in business, it's, how can I communicate with you better? How can I make you feel more valued? How can you, like, what do you need from me that you know that I appreciate you, right? And so I think it's very, very good that you guys have that process in place in the trial and error, because it applies to everything. It applies to how you work with your teams. It applies to how you work with your investors. And I completely agree. If I'm not willing to do life with people, I'm not willing to do business with them anymore. Because the reality is the honeymoon phase is the beginning. Yeah. You see their best in the beginning. If you get into business with somebody that at the beginning you're like, I don't know about this, it's not going to get any better. No. It's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. course.
Yeah.
So, and of course, most of us learn that the hard way. I know I do. I'm pretty hard-headed. I usually jump in. I'm like you. I like to jump in, and I'm like, yes, this is a great idea. This is perfect. We can collaborate in this way because here are your strengths, here are mine. And it took me a little bit of time to realize that I need to make sure that the personal side aligns as well. Like to me, it's values. If they don't align in values, I can't do business with them.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the reality is, if you don't align in values, when it gets tough, when the money gets tough, or the time gets tough, or there's unequal effort, or something happens, that's when it falls apart. If you're not aligned in values, so I think it's really important and key. Whether we're even employees, same thing. Employees need to align in values too, because otherwise you can't teach integrity. You can't teach certain skill. Like either somebody has that as a value or they do not. Right? You can't teach work ethic. So I think it's very key that we are doing business with people we know, like, trust, and that we share values with. So I want to ask an interesting question, because I'm really curious. You guys both come from very different backgrounds, and you have made it, like, you guys seem to have really good synergy. If you can go back to the very beginning when you guys decided to do, like, that you wanted to be together either as a couple or to do business together, right? What would you like to tell that version of yourself? If you had it to do over again, that you wish you would have known from the get-go?
Gosh.
Did I stump you?
No. Hopefully for me, I'll say, if I would have known how sweet marriage is and having children is, I would have done it a lot earlier. But of course, maybe I wasn't ready. But if I knew then what I know now, same thing with entrepreneurship. I would have taken leaps earlier.
That's good. It's really true.
I would have just tried. Just try something. Do something.
Yeah.
Just don't get stuck in your rut. Just get out of your own way and go for it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, who cares what other people think?
Oh, that's a good one.
Just who cares? They're not with me here today. Any naysayers that were there 15, 20, 30 years ago, well, they're not in this room with me right now. So who cares what they think?
Yep.
Their advice was bad then. It's probably bad now. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, I'll just piggyback on what he said. You know, the truth is that I'm probably a little bit more reserved than he is, right? And so I just think things through sometimes on things. And so I probably didn't make the leap for entrepreneurship because I was scared. And mainly because, you know, I grew up in the generation of go get a degree, climb the corporate ladder, you know, all the things that didn't pay me before, you know. So it's like, it wasn't paying me before. I should have just done this a long time ago. So I think that reserve, now I think to myself, just do it. Like, you should have done it back then. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's like if people enjoy you, they're going to do business with you, period. They don't care what you're selling. They want to do business with you if they enjoy you. Because, you know, something that we say all the time is it's our job to create the atmosphere for people to succeed. And so if that's the truth, then people want to do what you're doing. I mean, I've had people get their real estate license just because they want to do what we're doing, you know. And so it's like, I don't know anything about real estate, but I want to do what y'all are doing, so can I get my real estate license? Yep. Will you teach me?
I completely concur. I have the same with coaching, right? And sometimes I end up coaching and the client's like, I love this has been life-changing. I want to do this for other people. Right. So I think that's really fantastic. So the big takeaways that I hear are, do it sooner, take the leap, just do it, and ignore the noise. Yeah. Because the reality is, if people are negative predominantly, they're going to stay negative. It doesn't matter what you do, you're never going to get their approval. So stop looking. And I always like to use so I come from sports medicine. Yeah. I like to use the swimmer analogy. Like, if you're in the Olympics and you're an Olympic swimmer and you take that fraction of a second to see what's happening in the other lanes, you lose the race. And it's the same with people. If you listen to all the people who are not in the arena with you and not successful, like I listen to people who are more successful than me that are challenging me. Those are the people who I want in my corner, because that means I'm becoming, right? Absolutely. I'm always looking for that. And everything else, I don't have competition. They may think I'm competition. I don't have competition. Like, I'm in my lane, I'm moving forward, and I'm just going to keep my head down and keep swimming.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, that's how we filter out the noise. So I think that's sage advice. If you didn't write that down, definitely write it down. Don't listen to the negative people. They're not going to support you anyway. You know, something really funny that one of my coach just said a couple days ago, we were speaking, and he said, you know, like, all the people who like your posts on social media about business, none of them are your family and friends. The business post, it's never your family and friends.
Always.
Funny how that happens.
Yeah, it's the strangers. So don't worry about what the family and friends think about business, because they may not be entrepreneurs, or they're not your ideal audience. Like, think about what you're putting out there in your marketing and whatnot for the people who it's there for. So it has been absolutely a pleasure speaking with you guys. We've covered so many topics, from balance in work and life to parenting as an entrepreneur to investing and everything in between. So I would like you to just share, how can people get in touch with you if they have questions about entrepreneurship, if they have questions about investing, if they have questions in real estate, or any of the amazing things that you do. How can they get in touch with you, Gina?
My email is Gina Joske, so Gina, and then the last name, JAESCHKE @iCloud.com. That's my email, and I'd love to touch base.
That is a mouthful of a last name. Thank you for spelling that out. And Buddy, how about you? If people want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
BuddyJoske@me.com. That's BUDDYJAESCHKE @me.com. And I'll take phone calls, 720-841-6118. And I answer phone calls. I'm a great communicator. It's not always a long, drawn-out thing. It could be a quick answer, but I do return emails. I return phone calls, voicemails, and texts.
Awesome. And I'm a coach. I'm a business coach by nature. I coach entrepreneurs all the time. We have entrepreneurs and executives watching this show. If you were to give them one action step from today based off all the things that we were talking about today, what would you, give me a quick one. What would you tell them to do that they could start today that will set them on that trajectory?
Oh man, pray. Pray, and then honestly, it's all a mindset. I read a book called Rhinoceros Success a few years back, and the author in that book, it's a really short read, but the author in that book said, write down on a Post-it note what you want as if it had already happened. Mm-hmm. And that was huge for me. And so, starting in business, Buddy was in the military at the time, and he was on deployment, so he was gone a lot, and we had 2 small children. And so I wrote on that Post-it note more time daily with my husband. And so that's basically what it came down to. And I started speaking it to myself and to him as if it had already happened. Mm-hmm. So this was actually the year 2011. 2013 is when he was going to step away from orders. And so I said, hey, babe, 2 more years, and we're going to have 24/7 together. 2 more years, we're going to have 24/7 together. And we just believe that. So even now today, we don't necessarily have 24/7 together, but we know our dreams and goals, and we like to be able to say, hey, by the end of this year, this is what it's going to look like.
Awesome. So you heard it. Your action step for today is write it down as if it's already happened. That future pacing is so incredibly important. And unfortunately, all good things come to an end, including this show. It has been such an amazing time with y'all. Thank you for everything that you have brought to the table today and all of your wisdom. And you, yes, you, I am talking to you, my viewers and my listeners. You have an action step that was given to you by this amazing power couple. Go ahead and future pace. See what it is that you want and be driving towards that. Write it down, speak it as if it's already happened, so that you start acting as if, and you change your behaviors naturally so that you can start to achieve that next level of success. I think that is the best action step that I've heard in a while. So start that today, not tomorrow, not next week, because if you wait, it never happens. So as soon as we conclude, I want you to go ahead and write down what it is that you want and start acting as if, and start speaking that in. That is your action step for today. And until we meet again, we will see you same time, same station next week. But go win today, win this week, and we'll see you next time.
This has been a Now Media television feature presentation. All rights reserved.
Oye, Lily dice que AT&T le da a todos las mejores ofertas.
Minus the air quotes.
Las mejores ofertas.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Te lo dije, aquí las mejores ofertas son para todos con una variedad de planes.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
En AT&T les damos a todos nuestras mejores ofertas en cada smartphone.
Houston, el bar más vibrante de Downtown en la ciudad de Houston. En Interio, la fiesta nunca para. Nuestro DJ de clase mundial te mantendrá bailando toda la noche con la mejor música de hoy y de siempre. Además, aquí encontrarás las mejores bebidas y cócteles. En Interio, nuestro ambiente electrizante y nuestro equipo amigable te asegurarán una noche que nunca olvidarás. Te esperamos de 9:30 a 2 de la mañana. Interio, donde la diversión nunca se detiene. Bienvenidos a Interio Bar Houston, el bar más vibrante de Downtown en la ciudad de Houston. En Interio, la fiesta nunca para. Nuestro DJ de clase mundial te mantendrá bailando toda la noche con la mejor música de hoy y de siempre. Además, aquí encontrarás las mejores bebidas y cócteles. En Interio, nuestro ambiente electrizante y nuestro equipo amigable te asegurarán una noche que nunca olvidarás. Te esperamos de 9:30 a 2 de la mañana. Interio, donde la diversión nunca se detiene.
Hey, this is Michael Rager, the host of Biz Talk TV with Michael Rager. Make sure you join us every day, 5 p.m. Central Time on all Now Media channels and social media platforms.
En esa era digital, las tarjetas de presentación de negocio son cosa del pasado. De hecho, la mayoría de las personas que las reciben las pierden en cuestión de minutos. La videotarjeta de negocios de Now Media es un video de su negocio especialmente creado por nuestros expertos con toda su información de contacto, los productos y servicios de su negocio, y puede ser enviado de manera rápida utilizando su teléfono móvil. Cientos de negocios ya están viendo la diferencia. Llámenos hoy al 832-384-9588.
Así debe de ser, siempre sencillo, las cuestiones de economía, finanzas y negocios explicados, peras y manzanas en torno al dinero, lunes a viernes, 10 de la mañana. Now Media, ahí nos vemos.
Licenciado, ingeniero, abogado o enfermero, biólogo, agrónomo, veterinario o contador, administrador, mercadólogo o economista. ¿Te gustaría tener una oportunidad para trabajar de manera remota para empresas estadounidenses o incluso emigrar? En The US Marketer estamos buscando oportunidades para mexicanos con estas carreras. Si quieres aprender más, visita nuestra página para más información.
Tell me, are you looking to sell a house or buy a home? Hi, I'm Michelle Briggs, and your real estate needs are my priority. With over 2 decades worth of experience within the real estate industry, I know I can help. Whether you're selling a house and moving on to the next chapter or buying a home to create generational wealth for your family, I am the realtor for you. Call me now at 713-256-5465 and let me handle all of your real estate needs.
Business owner, it can be tough to find a painting company that you can rely on. Look no further. Hi, I'm Courtney Hughes, owner of 360 Painting West Houston, your go-to painting company for residential and commercial needs. 360 Painting's mission is simple. We want to provide you with the highest quality finish and the best painting experience possible. Our company's residential and commercial painting services are founded on 3 core values. First, quality. We ensure the use of premium paints, high quality finishes, and proven painting methods. Second, professionalism. We are committed to professional and responsive painting services. We coordinate and plan projects around your schedule and will treat your property with the utmost respect. And lastly, customer service. Your satisfaction is our #1 priority. So before laying a single brushstroke, we will make sure that we understand your vision for your home or office, and we'll do all that we can to paint that vision into reality. We strive to complete every project to your specifications, and we ensure professional, accountable, and reliable service from the first brushstroke to the last. So the next time that you need your home or business painted, give us a call for your free estimate at 713-829-1581.
Hey, Lily says AT&T is giving everyone their best deals.
Minus the air quotes.
Best deals.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Told you, the best deals are for everyone here, with a choice of plans.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
At AT&T, we give everyone our best deals on every smartphone.